So hello and welcome to the Dharma.life podcast. I'm your host, Aloise.life Middleton, and this week I want to invite you to my Follow Your Highest Excitement Challenge. I'm going to be running a 4-day challenge in my Facebook group. The link is in the section under the YouTube video. Please come and join us. Now is an incredible time on the planet to be building a 5D life in alignment with your soul. And it's much easier to do that with like-minded, conscious community around you. So please come and join the Follow Your Highest Excitement Challenge. You won't regret it. It's a high vibrational community of people changing the world, doing their Dharma, making a difference, and living in this new 5D energy. You will be absolutely blown away with the life that you can create. If you can believe it, you can create it. Believing is seeing. So hello and welcome to the Dharma.life podcast. I'm your host, Aloise.life Middleton. I am the creator of the Dharma.life Academy. I'm an accredited coach and I am your 5D Ascension Guide. And this week I am talking to an incredible woman who is heading up the Freedom for Children movement in the UK. And I really wanted to get her on the podcast so we could raise awareness around what is happening on our planet at the moment with regards to human trafficking, child sexual abuse and paedophilia. And I really wanted her to come and share her story. So Laura Ward, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to having a chat with you exactly about what we're doing. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
We've just literally talked for about 20 minutes non-stop.
Like without recording. Well, we should probably just save all this really good stuff until we actually get on the podcast.
Absolutely. But just to sort of set the scene for our listeners. So Laura is heading up the Freedom for Children Foundation, which is a US initiative, but it's obviously operating in the UK as well. And do you mind sharing with our listeners what that actually is so they understand more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Freedom for the Children organization started 5 weeks ago. So This has been, like in the US, they have a lot of spiritual leaders over there, and they're just like, now's the time, we've got to do something. So they just rallied everyone they knew, and then that spread obviously to different countries and eventually kind of got to me. So I found myself in a position where I'm leading the UK at the moment. Essentially what we want as a movement, and this is why we're doing it all together, is so that obviously it's harder for us to be ignored. Like people have to take action when it's just one, I think there's over like 120 cities now, just all at the same time on the same day, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And what we want as a movement is obviously to create change. So firstly is to prevent the harm actually happening. So that means actually going into the institutes that aren't really maybe looking after the children in the same way. So this is people, kids that are going into care, kids that are really vulnerable. And then also looking at the deeper aspect of it too, the more the spiritual side, because we are well aware of what we're going after. And we know it's much bigger than what we're seeing in this 3D reality. But we want to educate people. We want people to realize this is actually a huge problem, because with awareness, the dangers decrease because everyone's looking out for it. You've got that same thing you've got happening with COVID, like it's a bit of a false flag, but everyone's on high alert. Now imagine if you could have a similar situation with an actual threat that's happening right now under everybody's noses. And it can happen under everyone's noses because everyone's looking the other way on purpose. Everyone's been told to look the other way because this is so insidious in our network of what's happening in the world right now. So we want to make sure that the root of that is stopped and removed, which is kind of what's already happening anyway. But then to actually go and work with institutes, like educating children on the potential dangers so that they're empowered to actually do something about it as well. And then going and obviously changing the institutes in terms of, law and justice. So there just isn't enough justice for the people that have gone through this. They're not heard. That nobody's talking about it. They get closed doors all the time. and I get that there's a lot of threat in maybe the police systems as well, but it's about changing that and working with the people in these systems so that we can create change as well. So that's what we want. We want to put an end to it.
Beautiful.
Full stop. And the first thing is to make sure that everyone knows about it.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing here is there's kind of the freedom for children walks, peaceful rallies, which are happening all around the world, 126 locations, you were saying. And then there's this education piece. And you're so right, because, that's been my biggest awakening around it, is I kind of had this understanding that, it happened in Hollywood. And obviously, we know about paedophilia. It's not something we've not heard of. But the level of it just blew my mind. And I think what you said there, which I really like, is if we are all aware and we also can spot the signs and signals, like things have flashed through my mind since, I remember being in a nail shop. And I suddenly, it all clocked into place that obviously there's no way that girl was working there under her own free will, So it's things like that. If I'd have known kind of what I know now, I probably would have stepped in and said something or done something or rung somebody. So I love what you're saying about the education piece, because I think that's so important.
Yeah, hugely. I mean, this is a long road. This really is a long road, and everyone that's involved is in for the long haul. And the first aspect of it is this awareness. Let's all stand together and put aside our differences and go, hey, there are kids being taken and tortured and raped and abused regularly, and no one's paying any attention now. And if you've got any children in your life, if you're a parent or you're an auntie or an uncle, or you've just got friends that have got kids, this is happening to really young kids, and I know it's really uncomfortable. I get this all the time. It is uncomfortable. I've been through it. My heart's been absolutely broken, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still happening. And then feel what is actually going on, because it is happening to children and there's no one looking after them. There's nobody protecting them at all. So I know it's uncomfortable, but it is a problem. Then it's
we have to shine a light on it.
Yeah, exactly right. It can only exist in secrecy. And in secrecy as well. And these groups are getting more and more power. These elite paedophile rings, these trafficking groups are getting more and more power. They're getting cockier and cockier because they're getting away with it, and they're getting away with it in broad daylight because we're all being told to look the other way.
Yeah, well, the dark web as well, that's just kind of opened up this huge avenue for paedophilia. Okay, so what I want to get into is, because obviously one of the things we talk about on this podcast is purpose. I believe we all have a purpose, we all have a Dharma, and you and I were talking before you came on, and you were saying I really feel that this is why I'm here. So can you kind of describe to our listeners a little bit about your, the awakening that you've gone through around this and how you've really just stepped into this amazing role?
Yeah, of course. So I've had a couple of awakenings in my life. One was probably about 2 or 3 years ago when I was in quite a deep depression, and I just kind of snapped out of it. And my mind was just quite open. And that's when I first started kind of researching, exploring the ideas that there is a plan and there is an elite agenda to control us. And to be honest, I watched the David Icke show that he did, a big documentary that he did. And some of it was quite far out there because I was just waking up. I was just having this first awakening. And I was like, okay, some of that is quite far out there. But I didn't dismiss it, because I just thought, well, he's quite researched, and it kind of just sat there in my mind a little bit, and I was worried about it. But then that was kind of the end of it, because it wasn't happening to me. It was just an idea that was kind of going on. And then when COVID-19 happened and everyone started going into lockdown, a huge shift happened for me. It went from this idea that could be happening or might happen in a few years' time, and it's not really on my doorstep, to it is now. Right here. It's not just a theory. Because everything just matched up exactly what the agenda wanted to what the lockdown was asking of us. It just completely matched up, and I was 100%. And I just went into quite a big depression, to be honest, because I just knew it was going on. I believed it was going on, but then didn't feel I had any power to do anything about it. Because like you say, it's just me. and maybe someone else that believes it also, but then you've got this huge battle trying to wake other people up. And with that awakening, my spirituality woke up hugely, and I started getting a lot of visions, a lot of very unpleasant visions, about the future, who's actually controlling it, what they want, what they're doing to children, how they're hurting children, why are the children so important to their plan, and really started of like feeling what was happening to those kids. And I didn't have to do any research. I had to do zero research. Like when you get a zap like that and 100% you are being shown the truth,
yeah,
that's enough. Because it is hard to explain to someone that hasn't had that, because people need numbers and, well, what about this
cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, and I'm just like, why would I trust something else over me? Like, I know what I've been shown. It was absolutely just the realization that this is happening, this is existing right now in our world. And with that obviously then came another bout of depression, because I was like, right, so now I know this, but I can't do anything about it either. And it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking. So I was actually kind of like begging for like something. I was like, I know my purpose has got something to do with kids. I've always had a natural affinity with children. I've always just been able to communicate with them, and they absolutely adore me. So I think that's why it struck me even harder when I started to realize how big a problem this is and how insidious it is. And like, I just could see my nieces in those positions, and it would break my heart. And I was just like, so I know it's something to do with this, but what am I meant to do? Like, what, like literally just like, what am I meant to do? And then the next thing that kind of came to me was this Freedom for the Children movement. And yeah, like I said before the show started, it was like literally stepping on a trebilator. It was like I literally just put one foot on, and it was just like hyper speed, right? Yeah, this is it. And so that's why
welcome to your purpose.
So that's why I've just kind of like, I've just trusted it, because what we've created in such a small space of time as well. We started at 200 people in that group. We're now nearly 8,000. We started with one event in London. We've now got 11 in the whole of the UK. And I'm just constantly amazed at how many people are putting themselves forward, that are scared. Like, they are scared to be out of their comfort zone. They are scared because they don't know what they're doing, but they just put absolute trust in myself and this and themselves that they can do it. And it's been absolutely amazing. I do feel right now I'm at the start of something huge, but it's my purpose. Absolutely my purpose.
And can you share with the audience, because I know you mentioned to me you've got a sort of marketing background, which is just slotted in with what you're doing perfectly.
So my actual work is, I'm a network marketer, I'm an affiliate marketer, and I deal in cryptocurrency. So I've been like doing all this stuff. It's actually quite funny, because I was getting to the point as well where I'm just like, does this really set my soul on fire? No, of course it doesn't. It's marketing, which it's absolutely served its purpose now, because I could just literally take everything that I've been using, everything that I've learned over the years that I've been doing this, and just literally put it into this, and the effects it's had in these groups compared to some of the other groups that are being managed around the world as well. Like, ours is completely different, and we've got huge buy-in, we've got loads of engagement in there as well. And that's all just come down to the fact that I've had these marketing skills that I've then just used in this group, because everything's marketing at the end of the day. It's just communication, isn't it? That's all marketing is.
And I was saying to Laura as well, it's like, there's no accidents in life. You have been trained in marketing for your purpose, and now you are utilizing it in your Dharma.
Absolutely. And my housemate says the same. Like, my housemate's very spiritual, and as am I. And she's just like, it's like you've been in training, like it's like everything you've been doing. Exactly.
Totally. It's totally how I feel about my whole life. Like, I literally feel my whole life has been leading to this point. And I suppose what I want to make a point here, if you're listening to this is your call to action, right? All of us have a Dharma. All of us have a purpose, now more than ever before. This is, what Laura's talking about, which I love, is obviously this is unity consciousness. This is 5D Earth. This is about us realizing that we are one human race. And it's time for us to stand up and to take our power back and to stop what is happening right now. So if you're listening to this, what you've been through, what you've trained in, I just noticed behind you, because I've got it the same, you've got the Great Awakening map.
Yes,
Yeah, and I've got it too. And I had Champ Perinya, who the creator of it, on the show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you'll have to listen to it. But what's amazing is he's a graphic designer. And so
Right.
everything had prepared him. And obviously he's big into meditation. And so his graphics obviously came into play and he channeled the map. So, you know, what we're talking about here is all of us have signed up for this. You know, the sooner we realize that, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are so powerful. That is why we are trying to be controlled. Like, you might not 100% believe your power, but you can guarantee the people that are controlling you know how powerful you are. Like, they haven't got a shadow of doubt. They have secrets that they don't want us to know. And that's why they're in the position that they're in. They're using them for evil. They're using them to try and control us. But that's why they're keeping it a secret from you. That's why they want you to think that you're nothing. You've got no authority. You've got no power, because you are divine. You are the most powerful thing on this planet, in this universe. Because you are source. You are absolutely it. And they don't want you to know. Because as soon as you start waking up to the fact they've got no control, it's all an illusion.
That is what they are scared of, us waking up, because there's like 99, however many of us, and only like 1% of them. So
I mean, even smaller than that is something like, it's ridiculously small numbers of the actual control. They've got a few foot soldiers as well, but like the actual like ring of it is tiny. 100%. You know, they don't want us to wake up, because like their control is dependent on us giving it to them. So the second that
everyone's been asleep, you know, everyone's been totally asleep. Not, you know, wait, I was going to say, it drives me mad going around the supermarket and it's like me without my mask on, and everybody else just following orders because that's just what they've been told to do. But to be fair, we've been conditioned and you know, all through our lives, you know, through education, you know, we've been taught to give our power away to authority figures. So
and not trust yourself, not trust your own authority, not trust your own sovereignty. You know, like I was saying earlier, like, I don't need to go and do research. I know the extent of the problem, and there's no book that's going to tell me, or statistic that's going to tell me, or validate what I have already been shown from the highest source. So I don't need to go outside of everything else. And like, what the conditioning that we are experiencing is that you don't know enough. You can't trust your own opinion. You can't trust your own authority. That's why you've got to lean on somebody that's apparently got more information or is more educated than you, and their opinion's better than your own. And it's not the case at all. Like, you've got a divine internal guidance system that will never steer you wrong, ever. You just have to trust it, and it'll always give you exactly what you need for you. And that's the purpose, isn't it? Like, it's for you. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You can make your own decisions.
Yeah, beautiful. And for people listening, you know, obviously we've got an audience all over the world, but you said the Freedom for Children Foundation is an American organization, but obviously it's here. So how could, if people are feeling called, how could they get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are in the US, I would recommend going to freedomforthechildren.org, which is the main overriding website. That will give you more information about like what we actually want, what we want to change, what we want to create. And it also has a full list of every live event around the world, but I know predominantly they're in America and Europe at the moment. You've got flyers in there as well, so if you want to go and promote or stick one in your car, you can just go and do that. They've got t-shirts in there if you want to support that way as well, and that has a full list of everything. If you are in the UK and you want to be more involved or directly support, I would recommend going to our group, which is Facebook groups Freedom for the Children UK, and that will bring us up because we've got all the information about all the events in there. We've got flyers, graphics, how you can support, how you can get more involved. This is the first event. Like, this is not going to stop here. This is just the very first thing, you know. We don't know where this is going to go, but we know where we want it to go. So if you do feel called, you're like, yeah, no, I want to do something. I want to do something in my area. We've designed the group that way so you can go in and be like, hey, I'm Bob from Milton Keynes and I want to do something, but I don't maybe want to do it by myself, which is fine. Like, we are so much more powerful together. But the group is a community-based group where you can go in and be like, hey, I want to put my hand up. I want to do something. Who else is in the area? And like, we've done that for the 11 events that we now have.
Okay, there's 11 happening in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has all started from people just going, hey, like I want to do something here. And then we found them other people. Now we've got these great little teams of leaders that didn't know each other 5 weeks ago that are now like working really hard and supporting each other to make that happen. And we wanted it that way because it isn't just about us. Like, I can't be everywhere. Like, do you know what I mean? We need people in those areas that go, you know what, I do want to do this. I want to stand up against this. I just want that support, just want that help. And that's what it's there for. You know, we'll help you with marketing. We'll help you with everything. Give you full guidance. So you can go into the group. And if you're feeling compelled to do that, fantastic. We'll get you everything you need to hold a successful like walk in your area. Or if you want to be involved in the next steps, that's fine too. We don't know what they are yet, but they're coming to it. So.
Well, it's going at warp speed, isn't it? So I don't think it won't be too long before.
No, it is going at warp speed. It is going at warp speed. That's why I'm just kind of holding back. People are like, what about the next event? What about the next event? And I'm just kind of, something's telling me just to wait until after the 22nd because I don't know what is going to be asked of us. I don't know where I'm going to be called to go. I feel like, there's going to be more interaction within the institutes, because we need to get into those institutes. We really need to start working with the people in there to make change.
Oh, as in institutions, like
so education systems, like policing systems, law systems, all that stuff that can actually be very powerful in instigating and creating change with us as well. So we need to be working with them. So it just all depends what happens next. Like, I literally have no idea. I have no idea.
Just set your intention and then let go.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so best way to find you is basically that Facebook group.
Yeah, Freedom for the Children UK. Yeah.
Excellent. So hopefully you guys are listening and you're feeling called to do something. There's hundreds of marches happening. There's lots happening in this country. So, find one near you. If there's not one near you, then please do start one. And I love what you're saying, Laura, because I do believe that this is all about all of us becoming leaders. We've been passive for too long, given away our power for too long. And now the part of the ascension process is us stepping into our sovereignty and us literally taking our power back. And, all of this stuff that we are doing, whether it be a podcast, whether it be organizing walks, this is all creating this 5D new earth. And I think for me, that's where it gets exciting, because the sooner we get the darkness off the planet, then we can come into this new 5D golden age,
Yeah, absolutely. And healing. I feel this is a massive collective trauma that needs to be healed. Yeah. And at the moment, there is still a dark entity pumping into that. Do you know what I mean? And that's the first step, is actually removing that source of that darkness. And then obviously then being able to actually assist people in healing. But it's our wound. It's, it's not just happened to that individual. It is our wound that's being brought to the surface for us all to heal. Because I don't really know anyone that hasn't had some sort of sexual trauma in their life, whether it be a child or older. I just, it's quite a common thing.
Oh God, and I said this on another podcast the other day, that I do believe that our generation is the trauma breakers. We've had, whether it be depression, abuse, or drug and alcohol problems. We are the generation who put our hands up and said, right, this ends with us, no more.
Yeah, it has to, because the future that they want planned for us just isn't worth living. It really isn't. And it does sometimes come down to a point where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that's going to make you make the decision that you need to make. And it might be uncomfortable and it might seem scary, but it's the better alternative than doing nothing, because doing nothing means a certain set of consequences is going to happen. And I feel that's where a lot of people are being pushed to, being so unhappy where they are, so fearful where they are, that doing something, no matter what that is better than doing nothing. But it's all for us at the end of the day, isn't it? It's all for us. And people only move when there's a bit of pressure. People only change when there's a bit of pressure. A little bit of discomfort. If you're happy all the time where you are, why would you have any motivation to move forward or to change? Sometimes we do need to be put under the pump to help us see a way out, to force a reaction, to force movement. And I think that's what a lot of this is as well.
Break down to break through.
Exactly right. And it is scary, and it isn't scary at the same time. It seems scary, but on the other side of it, I was talking to my friend about this morning. Like, whenever there's I always know when I'm at the edge of my comfort zone, because it feels like I'm looking at the edge of a cliff, and that I've got to suddenly just like jump and leap into this abyss and hope everything's going to be okay. And I always do it, and then I land and I look back and I realise it was just a tiny little curb. It actually wasn't this huge big
It's amazing how we make it big in our minds, don't we?
We do, yeah. And it seems like this big terrifying thing, but actually when you do it and you look back, you realise, oh, actually that was just a little step. It wasn't this huge big cliff. And that's, you know, how it can feel sometimes. But, you know, you're not alone. Everyone's there. Everyone's been there. So
absolutely. And I think my favorite saying, and it's got me through a lot of kind of things where I've had to really grow, is I'm not scared. I was born to do this. I tend to like repeat that in my head. If I'm doing something way out of my comfort zone, it's the way I kind of manage it to sort of enable me to step into what I need to do. But
yeah, amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Laura. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No, well, not at all. We'll put all your contact details. We'll put all the Facebook details in the show notes. You know, please, again, guys, you know, this is about us coming together. This is about us supporting each other. This is about unity consciousness. Please share this podcast. Please tag me, tag Laura. Laura's on Facebook. Please tag me on Facebook. Please share it with your friends so they can understand what's happening as well. You know, look at it this way. Somebody in my community yesterday, so it was saying, oh, I really don't want to, you know, break all this to my family or break their hearts. And I said, you've got to think about the end result. The end result is the golden age. You know, the quicker we integrate the collective shadow of humanity, which is exactly what we're talking about here, the quicker we move up. Yeah. So it's like a plaster. Let's rip it off.
Just rip it off.
Let's get it done. And there's a lot that awaits.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Like, it isn't like something that may or may not happen. It's inevitable. So it's either you can choose to prolong it and feel uncomfortable and like in that space, or you can just be like, right, well, it's happening anyway. I might as well just get this over and done with. You know, might as well just get involved. So
brilliant. Absolutely. Yeah, the light has won. So
yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week with another incredible guest on the Dharma Life podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please come over and say hello on my Instagram, our Facebook group, and also please let me know what you thought. So if you are listening, please take a screenshot of the podcast that you are listening to. Tag me on Instagram and I will reshare your post, and please let me know what it is that you got out of today's episode. Remember, when we do our Dharma, we are happier, healthier, we live longer, and we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace.